You ready to make history? Come on now. Yeah. You know there's these two words. And when I say them, people get goosebumps cause they know. They know what happens next. So without further ado, free smoke. Look, scared cause I'm drowning in silence with bad thoughts. These days I don't have nothing to say, man, the bag talks. I put in headphones on my driver. Pull up to the spot and give a good dick and Godiva. I can't lie, I'm uninspired. No more pillow talking about nonsense. I only stick around to put some band-aids on my conscience.
Welcome to the show. We're gonna talk sports. But before we talk sports, gotta talk about real life, something that's far more important than sports. Yesterday, news came through on my phone, as I'm sure however anybody got the news, that a mass shooting had taken place in Texas in a school, an elementary school, Abbott Elementary, and 19 kids were killed. 2 teachers were killed, I believe. Either 2 or 1 teacher was killed. And it's the second time. Mind you, the United States has had more mass shootings in this year than days. So, just put that in perspective. And it's a list of all the different schools that have had shootings. Parkland, Columbine, Sandy Hook. And I remember when Sandy Hook happened in 2012, a movie theater had got shot up that exact same year. And I remember thinking to myself, wow. Like, if nothing could fix gun control, kids, 5-6-year-old kids being killed, gunned down for going to school, I thought that would change something. It didn't. A couple weeks ago, the governor or senator, whichever one it is, Abbott, and I'm not Abbott, Greg, I can't even remember the motherfucker's last name, but the governor in Texas, they passed a law in Texas that basically made it easier for you to get guns, carry guns and whatnot. And I'm not into politics and all that type of things, but I know what I know, and I get more informed on things that I need to know. And at the time when Sandy Hook happened, I was devastated because I didn't have to go through that situation to understand how unbelievably fucking tragic something like that is. And a parent taking their child to school, dropping their child off. One of the safest places you think you could drop somebody off at is at school. An elementary school. And somebody going there and gun down little kids. Imagine being a fucking parent, getting a call that your child who is at school is a victim of a mass shooter, of somebody coming in and gunning them down for no reason whatsoever. Imagine being a parent having to make funeral arrangements for your 5-6-year-old child who haven't even gotten a chance to truly experience life yet. They have to figure out what size casket they got to bury their child in. Imagine that type of pain. And the reality is, people don't put themselves in these type of situations. People don't care about these situations. People tell you they do. The people who could change these things, the people who can do something about these things, they won't. Because after Sandy Hook, Obama tried to pass legislations to make it harder to acquire guns. Not to mention, he didn't even try to eradicate the assault rifles and whatnot. Just made it harder to try to get them. Republicans would not let that fly. Because to them, in that moment, it proved they were willing to sacrifice kids in order to keep their guns. Now imagine that. A gun. Having a gun is far more, they care more about having a gun than a child getting gunned down by a gun. Now think about that. The right to bear arms is so much more important to them that they refuse to do anything to prohibit them being able to right to bear arms. Not to mention these amendments that people love to bring up in situations like this that were created so long ago by a bunch of old white men. And, you know, I'm not getting into the racist and all that type of shit at the moment, but do you think that back in those times, if they had schools, a ton of schools, much like we have today, and they had a shit ton of mass shootings taking place in schools, do you think they would have kept those laws that way? Or do you think they would have found ways to fix that law to make sure things of that nature don't happen again? Because why in the fuck would we be going to war for things and losing those type of lives and think that it's okay to lose those type of casualties and those type of lives when people just going to school? Do you think that's a law they would have figured out back in the day? Or do you think they would have kept pushing ways to make sure people can keep getting their hands on guns? Because the shooter who went into this elementary school yesterday turned 18 from the reports that I saw and read, and went and bought 2 automatics, assault rifles. Why in the fuck could an 18-year-old be able to buy 2 semi-automatics or 2 automatic assault rifles or 2 assault rifles, 2 AR-15s, whatever you want to call it? He bought 2 assault rifles. How in the fuck is this? How can you go into a store and buy an assault rifle at the age of 18? Do you know some things that you cannot do at the age of 18 right now? You cannot go into an ABC store and buy alcohol. You cannot buy alcohol at all. You cannot go into any store under the age of 18 and buy, or at the age of 18 and buy alcohol. You have to be 21. Can't buy cigarettes and anything like that anymore. You can't buy tobacco products at the age of 18. They changed that law a couple years ago to where you have to be 21 years old now to be able to buy tobacco products. But for some reason, they care about cancer killing people from tobacco and all that type of shit. They care about alcohol killing people. Mind you, alcohol that's everywhere. Like, you can see a Hennessy commercial, a bourbon commercial left and right every time you look around. Yeah, all these NFL stadiums and basketball arenas and shit with the alcohol endorsements and shit. But that's neither here nor there. So they raised the limits on the age limits on which you could get those things. But an 18-year-old can go into a store and buy an assault rifle. Does that... Now, I'm not like I said, most qualified person to be talking about politics and whatnot. But this is just for common fucking sense. What sense does it make that an 18-year-old can go buy an assault rifle but can't buy alcohol? Matter of fact, let me reword it. What sense does it make that you say an 18-year-old can't buy? We think that an 18-year-old shouldn't be able to buy tobacco and alcohol, but we think it's all right for them to go buy assault rifles. How insanely fucking stupid is that? And the price we pay is kids losing their lives in a school somewhere they have to be. A fundamental development of a child happens in school. They have to be there. And you don't want to throw police officers in every single fucking hallway of a school, because that'll fuck up an experience for kids. But it feels like that's where we headed to, because they won't do anything else about it. And one of the things that really irritate me is when I hear people say, oh, well, gun control won't do anything. It's so very ignorant to me when people love to run to that first. Because when you have a problem, a serious problem, or a problem with something that is serious, say you have a machine and the machine starts to act up, but this machine is something that you need. This is a necessity to you. You need to have this working on all cylinders because this is of great importance. It helps with whatever in life move forward. So you need this, and that is terrible wording, but you know what I'm saying. When something is wrong with that machine, you might not be experienced at fixing it at that moment, but you're going to do you're going to exhaust every single outlet on trying to fix that machine, right? You're going to exhaust as a company, when you have a problem, that is a problem that is starting to become a vital problem to the overall success of an organization, of the company. You exhaust every single possible outlet or resource to fix said problem, whether you are experienced at it or not. So what sense does it make to not try to exhaust every possible resource and solution to try to fix this problem? Because every other country not dealing with this mass shooting problem, and every other country got people dealing with mental diseases. They got people who are just evil individuals. They have criminals. They have all the things that we have, but they don't have people going into schools shooting up shooting up schools. Why? Because they have strict gun laws. And the reality is, like nothing happened after Sandy Hook, which prepared us for this to happen, because people normalize this. The reality is nothing will happen again, because jackass Ted Cruz basically got up today. Not Ted Cruz. He said that the reason this shooting happened was because they left the door unlocked in the back. Wow. As if a fucking assault rifle won't blow a fucking door clean off of its hinges. Wow. Amazing, Ted. And this is the type of motherfucker that motherfuckers vote into office with the intentions thinking that motherfucker gonna protect you, help you. No. They care about themselves. That's why the Texas governor can get up on stage and tell you, basically paraphrasing, losing some kids don't matter. It didn't matter at Sandy Hook, and it don't matter now. You want to know why? Because that Chicago got gun laws, and they got people killing each other every day. So why should I care about some fucking kids who got killed in Sandy Hook, who got killed at Abbott, and who will get killed in the future? That's what the people who y'all vote into office feel. That your kids are insignificant to them. They mean just as much as a thug or another person in Chicago. I didn't mean to say thug. They mean just as much as a gangbanger, a thug, a prostitute, a wreck. Every human being is the exact same to them. And it's funny how that's the only time that they see everybody as equals. That was his message. Well, everybody in Chicago get killed, so why should a kid matter? Wow. Is the gun violence happening in Chicago? Not to mention, a lot of people instantly rebutted that by saying over 90% of the guns in Chicago are trafficked from Texas and other states in which it is easy to acquire guns. Which you really didn't need a statistic to tell you that, because common sense would tell you that. That's why you got weed everywhere in all these states that don't have weed. But that's what they feel about us, about people. Because if it doesn't happen to their kids, if it doesn't happen to people they love, their nieces, their nephews, then this does not matter. You know what do matter? Being able to take them family portraits with everybody holding an assault rifle. That's what matters. Not some stranger. Not some school full of Latino Americans and Mexican Americans getting shot up. Not a little white boy and a little white girl with their whole life ahead of them getting shot up because they have no relation to us. Not a school, not a church of black churchgoers or a store where somebody go in and pick out black people individually to gun down. None of that don't matter because, hey, that happened every day in Chicago. Do you understand the madness? How it's so easy for the people who we vote in to these positions, do you see how easy it is for them to not give a fuck about us, about these tragedies? Because these tragedies don't touch home to them. Republicans refuse to do anything about gun legislation. They continue to tell you, making stricter gun laws won't help. Maybe it won't help overall, but it's a start. You hear people say, you got guns that's bought on the black market. How do you think some of those guns on the black market get possessed? How do you think those are purchased? Do you think they just create those shits on their own? Or do you think these are guns that might be purchased from other places before they land on the black market? If it is stricter, not to mention, I don't even think background checks should be the only thing that's made stricter. I think you should have background checks, and then you should have to wait a while even after your background check is approved. And on top of that, having a weapon is not a necessity. Having an assault rifle is not a necessity. It's not a need. It is a necessity. You don't need an assault rifle. I don't think they should sell assault rifles. Hunters do not use assault rifles. I'm not a hunter. I do know people who do hunt. None of them own assault rifles. Because why would I go hunting with an assault rifle? You go to war with an assault rifle. Police do raids with assault rifles. You do gang bust with assault rifles. Because you have an intention of letting a lot of clips and a lot of shots go. But for some reason, to run back to this, an 18-year-old can go buy 357, I think that was the number of bullets and 2 assault rifles at the age of 18, but you still can't go buy alcohol or tobacco. The insanity of that. You don't think that an 18-year-old should be able to make the decision to smoke and drink, but they can make the decision to go buy an assault rifle. Background check shouldn't be the only thing. Because an 18-year-old or something like that could possibly not have a background. Also, when you upon having stricter gun laws as far as background checks, you should have to be psycho evaluated every other month when you own an assault rifle or assault rifles should not be sold. But if they are, any weapon you have, you should have to be psycho evaluated at any point in time. Somebody should be able to go into your place and psycho evaluate you to make sure you are still capable mentally of having a weapon. And if everybody in your house is mentally capable of being in a house with an assault rifle or a weapon, that should be something that happens when you have people owning weapons. On top of having a weapon, because it is not something you need, there should be a tax on that. There should be a rent on that. There should be some type of price you pay per month or yearly to have those weapons. You know how apartments have a rent on dogs? Like you got to pay a certain amount, an extra amount every month to keep dogs there or cats there. And it's a per dog type of thing. That's exactly how you should have it when you have assault rifles or weapons. You got pistols? Well, it's a tax on pistols. Every month you will pay this certain type of payment to the government in order to own those pistols. And it can't be something like an 85. No. Because these are not things you need. So this is a high tax to make sure that motherfuckers who ain't just collecting guns now. You're not finna have a whole gun shop in the basement of your house. Like you going to war or some shit. And you an average everyday human being. That's not about to transpire. So I feel like it should be about $1,000+ tax every month in order to own weapons. The more you own, the higher the tax. So now motherfuckers who don't need the weapons and who don't feel like they can just, let me just waste my money on collecting weapons. Now you help limit more weapons on the street and in households. And the first thing people want to hop to is, oh, well, people can get them. We can't monitor everything. That's just the reality. But you can monitor some things. You can fix some things. Point blank, period. There should be a stricter fine on unlicensed weapons, unlicensed guns. There is things that you can do to prevent this. Ain't nobody trying to take y'all. At this point, I am trying to take the guns out of the houses, but because one of the biggest reasons I'm an advocate of taking guns out of houses, period, now, is because if you want to keep your guns, because one of the part, I understand one of the realities is see, most people when they say gun legislation ain't the answer, they're saying that out of ignorance and selfishness. But what I'm finna say is not out of that. Because what I understand is gun legislation and getting them is not the only way to solve this problem. That's the biggest way, but it ain't the only way. Because another thing that have to happen is parents have to be held accountable. I saw the interview with Buddy's granddad, with this piece of shit's granddad. You listen to the granddad, none of them talked to the dude, none of them knew what he was going. They basically zoned him out like he was zoning them out. These motherfuckers is out here having kids and shit and not raising them. And I'm not talking about the people who can't raise them. Even though you do make a decision. And I'm not talking about the unfortunate situations out there of children that happen out of rape and things of that nature. I'm not talking about those type of situations. But I'm talking about people who go out there and choose to have children. People who go out there and have children and refuse to raise them. Children raising children nowadays. That is a problem. Parents need to be held accountable. We can't monitor everything that go on the internet, on their social medias and their texts and all them type of things. Even though you can make the effort, they think you're invading their privacy. Oh, well, that's your job as a parent. I see so many people on Twitter nowadays, these new age parents. Oh, you got to let your child have privacy. You can't be all. No, you don't. You are their parent. Until they are 18 years old, it is your responsibility to shape and mold that human being into something that is productive to this world going forward. You are supposed to be preparing them to be cogs, not cogs. my mistake. You are supposed to be preparing them to be good human beings for this world, whether it's to be a pusher of the world forward in like a mechanical field, an engineering field, whatever it is. You're supposed to be raising them to be good people. Period. People like to dumb shit down to, if you broke, you can't. My mom didn't have everything in the world. We didn't grow up rich. I told you, the only Jordans I owned was from my cousin. And that was like when I finally got to high school. I didn't wear the nicest clothes and shit like that. Don't matter. That has nothing to do with being raised right. And caring about your child and raising your child. And then it's other people got to look out for people. That's why I say all the time, tell somebody you fuck with them, tell somebody you love them. You never know what people going through. These motherfuckers talking about they just didn't talk to him because they didn't talk to him. What? It is your job as guardians to talk. To force him to talk to you. To force yourself to talk to him. You can't just quit on him like he just your homeboy or something like that. No. That is one of the young people in America who's counting on us. Counting on older people to help mold them. And I understand it don't just take place in the house. I understand that's teacher's job in every part of life. I wish people realized that. I really wish people did. That every single one of us, it's our jobs to be good to people. Every one of us, that's our job. Because you never know what being good to somebody could do for somebody. Imagine how if this kid was going through what he was going through, he just randomly was walking upon and being mixed with good people left and right. He say he was being bullied in school. I don't know if that's completely true, but let's say he was. It's no right. Nothing he can say can justify what he did. But let's say he was being bullied in school. Imagine what if the good that somebody in his life could have done if his parents just talked to him, reassured him. Now, it's a lot of people out there who's saying, oh, there's no way he could have been bullied because of the phone and all this type of thing. Listen, I understand that. I'm not too far away from agreeing from you because I think this dude is a piece of shit. I'm not even trying to humanize a motherfucker, to be honest with you. When you do something like this, I can only see you in one way. But I'm talking about in the future somebody else getting to this point, the preventions. Raise your child. Be in your child's life. Make an attempt. This thing of where kids feel neglected left and right. Listen, I'm not saying that it's completely true, but it's gotta be something to it. Now, obviously, you got some of these motherfuckers who just loose screws, period. But you can still see the signs. I don't want to hear that. I done seen so many of these school shooters, these mass shooters, take pictures on their Instagrams and Twitters and all this shit of them holding assault rifles and shit. And that's where these social medias can step into place. The social media networks, bro, they ban motherfuckers left and right for the stupidest shit. But you're not banning motherfuckers who posting their weaponry left and right. You're not banning these accounts and taking stricter approaches on these accounts to see how old people really are. And when you see somebody who really is underage posting weapons and whatnot, even it don't matter. Anytime Twitter could legitimately flag, or just human beings could flag these things when they see them on Twitter, or on Instagram, or on Snapchat. That's where we could do our part. But that's also where these social media platforms can do their part. I understand it's not just gun control that's going to solve this problem. It's a lot of things that's going to solve this problem. The biggest thing is still fucking gun control. But it's a lot of different things that can solve this problem. Because the fact that this happened again, the fact that this didn't bother people enough to do something about it the first time, or the first times it was just happening to anybody, and then when it happened in Sandy Hook, and now it's done happened again, and the reality is it will happen again. Because why should we expect these motherfuckers who higher ups to get to make the power and shit to decide anything and do what's right? They made motherfuckers suffer during the pandemic, had motherfuckers turning on each other during the pandemic because of how idiotic human beings are programmed at times. They had y'all waiting and suffering during the pandemic while they was living lavish lives. The pandemic didn't hurt them motherfuckers. It hurt you, didn't hurt them. So, in closing on this situation, I'm not going to say my prayers go out to the family and things like that, because my prayers and shit don't bring those kids back. Straight up. Change is what need to happen. I'm so sick of people playing the same old fucking script every time something like this happens. Motherfuckers go out there, tell you, oh, this is a great tragedy in our nation, and we are so moved and we are so hurt by this, and the city mourns with you and the world mourns with Abbott. No. Well, that's not bringing their children back, and that ain't preventing this bullshit from happening again. Do something. Like Steve Kerr said, do something. Because I promise you, you take all these motherfuckers up top who get to make all the rules and shit, who get to sit on their ass and not do nothing, put all their kids in the school and have somebody go in that bitch and shoot the shit up. And see how quick they moved in. That's why Donald Trump was sitting on his ass until he caught COVID. When he caught COVID, then COVID became a serious situation to him. Let their children be in school and get somebody walking there and get gunned down. Let somebody walk into the White House, start shooting. But you see, the reason they don't do things that don't help us is because they know that couldn't happen to them. But just imagine if it did. You know how quick they will figure this shit out? You know how quick they start putting things in place to fix this? But because it's you and it's me and it's strangers, They don't care. Because like I said before in a video long ago, it takes a special type of person to be able to empathize, understand, and have empathy for a situation involving strangers that you've never experienced or been in. To be able to understand that stranger's frustrations and pain and that sadness and what they are truly going through, it takes a special person to be able to do that. Because most people will say, yeah, I get it, but it didn't happen to me, so ultimately, and it couldn't happen to me, so ultimately. And the sad reality is for the kids who, the parents who lost their lives and the kids who survived the trauma that they'll have to live with the rest of their life. It's heartbreaking. Not even to mention the ones who will try to take their lives because of survivor's guilt. Lives that are forever changed. And we could have done something about it. They could have did something about it to protect these kids, to protect these teachers. Yet they still continue to do nothing. And that should tell you where we are right now in America. The greatest country in the world. But I do hope, I hope, like Steve Kerr said, I hope these motherfuckers get a grip and do something. And not do something. Do what's right. They know it's things that they can do. And they just refuse to. Because it didn't happen to them. And it's a cold reality, and I'm going to leave it there. But now that we have gotten past that, we got a lot of fucking basketball to talk about. Yo, listen. For one, I am extremely hungry. Well, I'm not necessarily extremely hungry. I'm extremely disappointed with how the food that I cooked turned out tonight. Excuse me. I'm extremely disappointed in that. And my throat kind of been hurting. That's why you probably been hearing me cough and do the, you know what I'm saying? My throat been bothering me. But listen. We're going to talk about Miami getting smacked in Game 3. We're going to talk about Miami losing again tonight. And we're going to talk about the Warriors winning Game 3 and losing Game 4. We're going to talk about all that. I do want to bring up, Pat McAfee is hilarious, So Pat McAfee basically was going in on the motherfuckers who was basically stealing his content and monetizing it and making a profit off of it. And I see these fucking weirdos, bro. And this is why, it does not pay to be a good person at times, bro. Not even to be a good person. It does not pay to be a fucking idiot. Okay? Pat was not being a good person. Pat was being an idiot. Pat's niceness, he confused his own niceness with stupidity. Because that's exactly what it was. Pat should have never let you motherfuckers start getting away with posting his content in the first place. Because when he finally decided to stop that shit and cease and desist and stop stealing my fucking content, like, I can be a good analyst and good at what I do without letting motherfuckers just steal my content and make a living off of stealing my content. Now motherfuckers all bothered by it. Yeah, motherfuckers telling Pat that I'm getting you viewers off of my... What? So I'm saying, man, Pat, different type of human being, couldn't have been me, my boy. Because you would have been coughing up all the money you made off of them videos. You would have been paying me that, homie. Now, you got some people out there who told Pat, you should just hire him. What? Oh, yeah. Because we caught the terrorist that was about to blow up the fucking White House. Because we caught him in advance, let's just hire him to build bombs for us. What? No. I don't think Pat should be working with the other dude who took his content. I don't care how nice and good-willed the dude was. The moment them motherfuckers had to start making money off of my content, we would have had to hit that cease and desist. I get it. They wasn't even like using clips or like, they were just straight up taking whole fucking clips of the man's thing. Like, I'm talking about, they wasn't even just using audio. They were using whole clips and shit. making their views off of that. Pat even said it. They got more views than him and more subscribers than he had his first 2 years. They didn't have to work for that. They didn't have to grind for those subscribers. They just got to build their subscriber views and their money off of Pat's work. I don't understand how people don't see the problem with that. Like the people who trying to argue for these dudes. Like, they did not have to do anything but cut up some of his clips, arrange them in whatever order they wanted to, and throw compilation on it. That does not make that their content. Not to mention, they should not be profiting off of that type of content because that's not content that they made. I don't care if your intentions is to bring me more viewers. Your intentions is not to bring me more viewers if you're the one making money off of this. Your intentions is to make money off of this. Because you wouldn't be doing this if I wasn't big. And like Pat said, go steal clips from other shows and see how long that lasts for you. If you think this is something you should be able to do, cool. I'm telling you can't do it to me, but go do it to somebody else and see how it works. Go make your living off of doing that to somebody else and see how that works. So I'm rocking with Pat on that. I agree with him 1,000%. And I even agreed with somebody who said something on Twitter a couple months back when they was like, I hate TikTok because TikTok ain't nothing but an app of people stealing other people's content and making more money off of it than the original people who made the content. And I'm like, that's probably fucking true based off of all the TikToks I've seen that are basically like voiceovers and things like that, or just the robbery of other people's content, basically. I'm like, yeah, that is basically how it is. And then they showed all the stars who done got big off of TikTok. And all those stars off of TikTok, none of them created anything that was truly their content. It's interesting how that works. However, let's get into these basketball games, man, because Miami got their asses smacked in Game 3, bro. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. See, Tyler Hero got hurt, but I refuse to believe Tyler Hero being hurt is why that team got smacked like that. For one, listen to me. I'm not blaming the refs for these motherfuckers losing this series, but I am telling you, in the first half of that Heat game, it was a little bit of the Heat player like shit mixed with the refs letting Boston play defense, but not letting Miami play defense. You had that going on. That was happening in the first half of the game where they was just, I mean, look at the free throw difference. Like, it was ridiculous. I don't understand how these officials is getting away with this shit. They was letting Boston play all types of crazy defense. Because that was, to me, the only difference. They let Boston play defense, aggressive defense. They did not let Miami play that type of defense. And that was the story of that first half of that game. However, Miami still shot the ball like shit. They hit like 2 shots in the first quarter, bro. That just ain't gonna cut it. Now, I said before that I think both of these teams got flaws that nobody ever talk about. They just straight up gloss right over them, especially when it comes to Boston. However, this series to me is showing you that now people keep attributing it to, both teams playing great defense. That motherfucker Robert Williams is playing great defense. It feel like that motherfucker block everything that go inside. Now, granted, like I said, they don't really call fouls for Miami. And I'm not too mad at it at a certain point. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But they don't really call much fouls. And it feel like Robert Williams block every fucking thing that come inside. It really feel like that. He is clearly a difference maker for these motherfuckers defensively. But back to the point I've been making since the beginning of this series. Miami got the worst guards left in the playoffs. And they probably got one of the worst guard pairs in the NBA. I think this is the second game in a row where these motherfucking guards, they start in backcourt, didn't score. Like, I understand Tyler Hero don't make a huge difference in my opinion, but the motherfucker would at least hit a shot or two. Now, he have been struggling himself in this series to hit shots. But Jesus Christ, bruh. I told you, this combination of, and I'm even got it, Lord knows I respect this motherfucker Kyle Lowry. But this motherfucker has been atrocious shooting wise. Lowry, Strauss, Vincent, Hero when he played. The scoring from the Miami Heat's backcourt has been god awful. The defense by this backcourt, they can't stay in front of nobody. Legit, in this game tonight, it was a slugfest throughout of a whole bunch of misses. And that's what was so crazy about that game 3. Miami got smacked, and Boston didn't even shoot the ball good. Tatum did. Nobody else did. I think they shot like 30-something% from the floor that night. Like, neither team shot the ball good. It was a free throw game. It was like Boston got like 30-something points off of free throws. But like, Miami's offense was so bad. And then it translated over tonight. Boston's offensive problem is defense sometimes from Miami. Miami's defense is, to me, what's affecting Boston at times. On top of the fact that Tatum and Brown just, for some reason, have turned into inconsistent players again. Tatum give you a good night here, and then, like, he struggled tonight. He ended up having a good amount of points, but he started off the game like 1 for 9 in the first half. Jaylen Brown got going in the second half too, but he struggled in the beginning of the game. Like, Tatum and Brown's iffy scoring done been a serious problem. But because Miami cannot score at all when Jimmy Butler play bad, that is a bigger problem. Bruh, Miami's offense is so bad. Now, this is both last game and tonight's game. Bruh, these dudes pass up so many open opportunities, bruh. Nobody on this team is looking to score. Jimmy Butler, after game 2, Jimmy haven't even been looking to score. Every pass from these dudes to each other is to just keep passing it. It's not even like they passing to get an open shot. They're just passing to pass it because nobody want to take the shot. Like, they overpassing the fuck out of the basketball. You got Bam passing up wide open shots to continue to roll and shit for some reason, instead of just getting the ball, hitting your move, and attacking the basket or shooting a jump. That motherfucker can shoot and he won't shoot the shots. His open jump shots. Tim Duncan was making a living off of that shit at one point in time in the playoffs. Bam, a more athletic and a better shooter than Tim Duncan, will not take that shot for some reason. Keep passing it out. PJ Tucker continues to pass up open corner shots, bro. You are here for your defense, and you can also hit this corner shot, and he continues to pass it up. He hit one tonight that he was about to pass up. And I'm like, yo, why are y'all over dribbling this much or over passing the ball? And on top of these motherfuckers' offense being so bad to where they pass up so many open shots, you get motherfuckers like Vincent and Strauss who will come down the court and say fuck the offense and just jack up some stupid ass 3, like they Steph Curry or something, or Dame Lillard. Like, they got that type of clout on the team to go up court and just throw up a shot like that. So now you got an offense that cannot score, and it's an inefficient at scoring because they overpass the ball and nobody want to score. And you got guards who just come up the court and will jack up stupid ass shots early in the shot clock for no fucking reason. They haven't hit their last couple shots. They haven't even hit the majority of their shots. They just come up the court and jack up a shot. It's one thing to be confident. It's another thing to just be straight up fucking ignorant right now to the situation. Even when they find a way to hit one of the fucking millions of attempts they try, I'm like, that was a stupid shot. Miami go through so many droughts where they just cannot put the ball in the basket. And one of the biggest problems, look at Bam Adebayo, bruh. Look at him. And I've been saying game 3, but I meant game 4, because tonight was game 5. Look at Bam in game 3. Look at Bam in game 1, 2, and 4. and 5. This motherfucker's inability to attack, to fucking want to score, to want to be aggressive is a problem. I'm looking at this motherfucker pass up shot after shot after shot after shot. He indecisive. He cannot decide if he want to attack a dude or if he don't want to attack a dude. He constantly gets stripped when he about to make a move. Usually when he make a move, it's always feel like it's awkward because it didn't feel like he was truly committed to making a move. It feel like he rushed his attempts at times. Like, I don't understand how Bam has become so bad, bro. Like, this dude has not played like an all-star aside from that one game. If you take that one game and throw it out and look at all these other games he done played in this series and throughout the playoffs, honestly, Bam has looked atrocious. Bro, we're not just here for Bam's defense. Bam got to be the second best scorer on this team. Bam has not been the second best scorer on this team. Even if his numbers say he done been the second best scorer on this team, Bam has been terrible. Terrible. Al Horford locking the motherfucker up at this point. At this point, it don't matter who you put on Bam. They done had Jaylen Brown switch onto Bam. No, the Celtics are not afraid of Bam Adebayo. They said that one game 3 was an aberration. It won't happen again. And I'm almost starting to agree with him. Because this motherfucker's lack of, you know how they always say LeBron James don't got that Kobe or that Michael in him, that, killer mentality. Neither does Bam Adebayo. Bam Adebayo has no killer in him. Because this motherfucker is just okay. And they be losing these games and you thinking to yourself, man, Bam, attack, bro. Try to stop this run. You think he the second best player on the team. You thinking to yourself, man, this dude want to make money. He want to be one of the greats. He going to attack. He going to get this thing under. Nope. Just keep passing it around. Might take a dumbass shot here or there, but just keep passing the ball to the net. And I'm like, yo, this is unbelievable. You got Duncan Robinson, who, Lord knows, is really not his fault. But he supposed to be a 3-point specialist. The motherfucker missing threes left and right. Every 3 I'm watching this motherfucker miss, I'm like, JJ Redick could be drilling these bitches right now. Like, it was terrible. I'm like, yo, Miami's offense is legit a problem. And I don't understand. This is the basketball people been bitching about wanting to see for the longest. Oh, they scored too many points. This is what y'all was sitting around wanting to see? God bless you, man. This shit is terrible. This is what I call terrible. I hated seeing teams score low amounts of points, but in this instance, I don't hate it. I could care less about the points, to be honest. I would prefer high-scoring games, but I understand defense happening at times. This ain't defense. Boston's defense is good. Miami's offense is god-awful. And I can see the effect Jimmy have on the team, but I don't even know if Jimmy healthy right now. But the fact that this team, and this is what's worse, Boston don't even capitalize on this team playing as bad as they play. Boston probably should have had blowout wins in every single one of these games so far, and they probably should have already ended this series. Somehow Boston played down to this team also. And I don't know if it's because Boston dealing with a couple injuries here and there, but Boston took forever to capitalize on Miami playing like shit tonight. Miami had an atrocious third quarter. I think it was like it took them a while in that quarter before they even hit a field goal. They points that came from the free throw line. Like, Miami's offense has been god awful in this round of the playoffs. And I don't see Miami winning another game in this series. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I just don't know if Jimmy Butler healthy enough. I done seen enough from Bam to know that he won't have that type of urgency. And if he do, he'll have it for a quarter or two, and then that flame will burn out real quick, because that's what it seemed like to me. He don't have one of them flames that burn too long. It burned bright for a good quick second, and they haven't even done that for the majority of this series. But I definitely think it's going to be a Golden State Boston NBA Finals, because it's no way I can look at this Miami Heat backcourt and the guards, like Victor Oladipo just missing wide open 3-pointers so bad. Jeff Van Gundy said at one point in time in this game, because it was like Victor Oladipo saying, he said, I don't care about his secondary activities. I care about his what he's primarily supposed to be good at. And when you wide open, it's not too much to ask to hit a shot. Is basically what he was saying. I agree. These motherfuckers was killing the backboards and shit, bro. They was hitting everything but the shots, everything but the net. And it was bad. Because, for one, like I said, they overpass. But then when they finally get the open shots, they just straight up miss them. And it'd be terrible misses. Like, terrible. Jimmy Butler had a wide open shot that he missed terribly. Like, Miami's inability to score fucking points at that guard position and as a team to create easy opportunities for each other and to even shoot the easy opportunities. And then when they do shoot them, they can't hit them. Miami's offense is god-awful right now. And you just can't make a living, because I don't believe defense wins championships anymore. Defense wins championships in spots. Spot defense wins championships. Like, offense is what's winning titles nowadays, but you got to play great defense in spots. You make a good defensive play at a key moment. It don't matter how many yards you give up. Miami's defense was only going to last so long with them being this atrocious scoring. I don't know if any of the guards on Miami right now, not named Kyle Lowry, and he done been atrocious too, but I don't know if any of these other, and obviously Tyler Hero, other than them two, I don't know if any of these other motherfuckers should be on an NBA roster right now, to be honest with you. And it's amazing to me that James Harden was getting outplayed by these motherfuckers. Look at how bad these motherfuckers is, and imagine how bad James Harden had to be for these motherfuckers to lose to him. Him and Embiid and them boys had to be to lose to these motherfuckers. Because I'm looking at this series right now, and I'm just straight up thinking to myself, bro, I don't know how Boston didn't sweep this team. Because this team, no, yes I do. Because the team that we saw in Game 1 is not the team we done seen since for Miami. Like, this has been the craziest part. I think the Boston's blowout tonight really wasn't like a definitive blowout. It was like a blowout that just finally happened after the game being ugly for so long. I think the other game that had a definitive blowout where it was like a blowout from start to finish, like an ass whooping from start to finish. But for the majority of these blowouts, it's been ugly blowouts. Just sloppy play from both sides. I think they said a stat tonight where 78% of this series done been a blowout. And that's wild to me when you think about the fact Miami done won 2 of these fucking games with this offense. But tonight, Boston went up 3-2. I find it hard to believe Miami will be able to go into Boston and pick up a win because of that crowd. But I also think it's hard to see them picking up a win because of how God fucking awful their point guards and their shooting guards. And those who, if it's positionless basketball, anybody in that group, you know what I'm talking about for those Miami guards. I have no faith in them whatsoever. No faith whatsoever. That is one of the worst. Like, I'm not even trying to clown and be disrespectful, but it ain't no way Miami getting past this team with that guard, those guards. Like, they're gonna have to have the best shooting fucking performances of their fucking lives at this point, just because of how bad they've been shooting the ball. Like, it's one thing for Dallas shooters to be missing the way they are. Like, Reggie Bullock missing like this ain't nothing new to me. I done seen him when he was with the Lakers. He did a lot of this. But for some of these other guys, at least they are missing shots. But the thing I took from it is, fuck, at least they shoot these shots. These motherfuckers on Miami passing up wide open shots and taking tougher shots. And then they one-on-one players really not killing nobody one-on-one. And Bam refused to be aggressive and be the second best player on the team. And when you really think about it, nah, Jimmy ain't in that point yet where he handing over the reins. But damn, bro, if Jimmy not playing at his best, you would think this would be Bam's opportunity to be like, I got us. I'm going to get us there. And he ain't doing it. But getting to the Dallas series. Every time we talk about the series, of course, you know I got to remind you that Nick Wright picked this series to be Mavs in 5. Now, you know after the Mavs won this 5th game, you know we definitely going to cut. The Mavs are losing in 5 like I predicted. He predicted Mavs were going to win in 5. I predicted they were going to lose in 5. I predicted they would win one of their home games, but I also predicted Golden State would win one of their home games. I mean, one of the games on the road and protect their home court. Up to this point, Golden State has done just that. They're the only team in the playoffs that haven't lost at home, and they're the only team in the playoffs that's done won a road game. Well, no, actually, every team that's left done won at least one road game, because Miami won a road game. No, Miami haven't won a road game in this series, but they did win a road game in a previous series. But Golden State done won 26 straight games. They done had 26 series where they done won a road game. So that was my logic going into the series. Plus, I thought the Golden State was a better team. For some reason, people like to believe that these championships are won by one player. Yes, one player might be the driving force, but usually that one player also has a great team behind him. Jordan had great teams behind him. Bron had great teams behind him. Curry had great teams behind him. Curry and KD had great teams behind him. Kobe and Shaq had great teams behind him. Kobe had great teams behind him. Dwayne Wade and Shaq had great teams behind him. Come on, every KG, Garnett, Ray Allen, great teams behind him. Every team, Magic Johnson and Kareem and James Worthy, great teams behind them. Larry Bird, Kevin McHale and them boys, great teams behind them. Bill Russell, Cousy and all them boys, great teams behind them. You see the common denominator? Great teams behind him. No one man wins a championship by himself. People like to say that Dirk Nowitzki the only one who didn't know. Dirk Nowitzki did not win that championship by himself. He was the best player on that team, but it was a lot of motherfuckers on that team who was very great at what they did. I understand people want to give Dirk all the credit, and he was the best player in that series. He did not win that series by himself. Stop it. You're talking about a fucking 7-footer who didn't play defense or rebound the fucking ball. Let's be honest now. Stop playing. Motherfucker was nasty with the one fadeaway jump shot. It's crazy when I think about it because Dirk done got the 2 finals. And I really never be thinking about the fact that Dirk found a way to get the Dallas Mavericks to 2 different finals. And both times it was against Miami. It's funny how the NBA work out. Because both of them was against Miami, right? Yeah. Because they lost that first one against Miami, and then they beat Miami this time around. That second time around. Years later. Just how, like, Miami beat the Spurs, and then the Spurs come back and avenge that loss. This shit crazy. The Warriors beat the Cavs. The Cavs come back and avenge that loss, and then the Warriors come back and avenge that loss 2 times over. It's crazy how this shit all works out. But it was a good win for Dallas. I don't know if Steve Kerr's heart was really into coaching a basketball game, but obviously we do what we have to do because that's just the reality of the world. They force you, and that's the sad reality of those victims and the families of the victims in that tragedy yesterday, because it's going to be people who lie and say they understand what they're going through, but eventually they're going to be like, okay, man, you done grieved about it long enough. You done lost that person such and such a years ago. That's the cruelty of this world we live in. They don't understand that that's something that you never get over. I remember when somebody told me, not somebody told me, I remember when I saw a tweet like a couple weeks ago when this girl tweeted, when this woman tweeted, I lost my mom a couple years ago, and it's something that I thought that I would eventually get used to and be able to deal with. She said, but it's not. She said, years later, it's still a massive hole that I feel like I've lost, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to fill that hole of losing my mom. And it's something that I deal with every day, and it's a pain that I constantly deal with every day. And when I saw that tweet, I instantly knew what she was talking about. That was the first time I had started ending the show by saying, yo, Tell your moms you love them. Like, that's when I was starting to really get into talking about moms at the end of shows, because that's when I saw that tweet and I thought about my own mom and how she go through different health things right now at her advanced age. And I'm like, man, I just want you to hold on until I'm able to put us in a better position to, be able to have the right medical care and shit to be able to take care of this and extend your living. Like, I want my dukes to see me live a long life, see me get married, and you know what I'm saying? Like, I want her to be able to live a healthy, long life and enjoy retirement. Like, she worked her whole life. I don't want her to die after she worked so hard in this world. She can't even enjoy her retirement for 20, 30, 40 plus years. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's right that somebody got to work their entire life and then die 6-7 years after they done retired from working. And then you got people who fucking never get to stop working before they die. And then you got little kids who just sitting in a classroom who never even get the chance to know none of that. And they get walked in on and gunned down. It all come full circle with me. It all come full circle. But shout out to Dallas, man. They hit a lot of three-pointers in that game. Threes that they wasn't hitting in the first 3 games that was defended. It just feel like Golden State do what Golden State do, knowing that Golden State was up and could end it at home. They chose to, get it back to the Bay. Now Golden State better show up and we better win this game in the Bay. And I'm not doubting, that we will. But the biggest reason I chose us to win this series in 5 is just because I know how we are, bro. We get turnover happy. We know we got a game back at the crib. And we mail it in. We make a good attempt. We came back. It was 30 at one point. We made a furious comeback. And ultimately they decided we got a game back in Golden State. That's just the reality. I don't like that. I wish we could have ended it in 4. But it is what it is. So, the beauty in this is you don't get a shit ton of time to rest now, especially with this next series, possibly being over after 6 games if Boston can find a way to win it. So that's the one good thing, in my opinion, that even though I do think people, you want rest and whatnot, you don't want so much rest that you become rusty. That's what you don't want. So I'm not really that mad. Well, obviously I picked us to win in 5, so I'm not mad anyways. Now, we go back to Golden State and we lose this game. Then I'm going to be a little bit on the edge. Not because I think we're going to lose the series, just because I'm going to be irritated with the fucking buffoonery that will come out of Nick Wright's mouth and out of a couple Twitter accounts that I know. A lot of motherfuckers will start hyping and say, oh shit, here come Luke. We got to take care of business back in Golden State and go ahead and start preparing to try to get this 4th chip. I'm excited, but I haven't even begun to really truly start thinking about that. Okay? I'm not going to start thinking about the possibility of winning, legitimately starting to think about winning the championship until we don't win 4 games in the NBA championship. The dead ass. That's where I'm at. That's how my nerves is. I'm not gonna it's not gonna set into me probably till we up 3-1, honestly, or till we got 3 wins secured. But even that's not secure because it could be 3-3 going into Game 7. I'm not gonna be comfortable and it's not gonna really set in. Like, obviously we get to the finals, we if we can beat Dallas next game and we get there, it's gonna be like, okay, yes, we back, Curry back, Dre, Clay, we got a chance to get this thing, Curry about to add. But it's not gonna really, when the series start, the anxiety and shit gonna pick right back up like it always do with these series with Golden State, man. Because I care so much about seeing Curry succeed, man. I just want Curry to win, bruh. I want him to win. You just got that one athlete, bro, that you just want. Obviously, a lot of you goofs got LeBron, and I'm not talking about the people who love him. I'm talking about his stance, his weirdo ass stance that can turn we could be talking about a fucking sock, and they will find a way to bring up LeBron. We could be talking about wall paint. We could be talking about tires or some shit, and they can find a way to bring up LeBron James. It's absolutely insane how LeBron James have found a way to legitimately be able to bring LeBron James up no matter what we are talking about. Talk about mayonnaise. They'll find a way to bring up LeBron James, bro. Talk about dirt, how dirt tastes. they'll figure out how to bring up LeBron James. It's absolutely insane. But I do think Golden State will end up closing out the series in Game 5. Obviously, I picked the series to go 5 games. So I do think it's going to end in 5 games. But listen, Dallas hit a lot of their shots in Game 4. I predicted that Dallas would eventually have a game in which they hit their shots. I thought Luka would average 40, 30 points throughout the entirety of the series. I never cared about Luka going crazy. I always figured Golden State would know they had to make sure the others didn't go crazy. Now, what I will say is I didn't expect for Brunson to consistently be as great as he done been throughout this series. I don't think Brunson get enough credit for how good he done been the last 2 rounds in the playoffs. Like, Jalen Brunson done probably made himself a good chunk of change. Like, Jalen Brunson done been amazing in the last 2 rounds of the playoffs. Now, I didn't expect that he was going to be as great as he has been throughout. Like, I don't think you can build around Brunson and Luka because Brunson is an undersized guard and he's not really a defender as good as he is a scorer. I don't think you got to get rid of Brunson, but I think Brunson possibly being your third scorer would be better than him being your second best player, if you know what I'm saying. So, but Brunson has been amazing throughout these playoffs, and I also don't think Spencer Dinwiddie is a 1 or a 2 or a 3. I think he can be not a 3. I think he could be a 3 or a 4. On this team, he would possibly be a 4 because I don't think he's better than Jalen Brunson. But him and Jalen Brunson can interchange, on a game-to-game basis. But I do think Brunson is more of a consistent player throughout these playoffs than Spencer Dinwiddie. So, I mean, I really think you could try to keep both of them. Like, to me, those are 2 great pieces to have on a championship contending team. I just think they got to find a way to get Luka to play a little bit different because you don't want him to continue to be this player to dribble the air out of the ball. I don't agree with Max Kellerman, who said he don't think Luka make players better. I do think Luka helps with other. You know what? Maybe not. Maybe the goof comment he made went too far because I do think he resembles a lot of James Harden. I am a full believer that he right now resembles a lot of James Harden. But I don't think it's to the same extent. That's why I say he resembles. Because I actually do think Luka is a far better playmaker. I think he actually is a great passer of the basketball. Like, he sees plays before they happen and shit like that. I just do think Luka is unbelievably out of shape at times. Like, they say he came into the season 260 pounds. This motherfucker ain't even a center, and he came in at that size. And Luka not dieseled up and no shit like that. So that is unbelievable. Because I understand everybody carry 260 the same. You looking at Luka though, you understand which same he carrying it at. So I'm one of them believers that if Luka came in a better shape, he would be an absolute nightmare. Like, the season Luka decided to come in unbelievable shape, might got a little 6-pack going. He ain't even got to have a 6-pack. He could just start getting the little frame of the 6-pack going. Luka might fuck around and win MVP 2 years in a row. Like, I always thought if Carmelo had came in, dieseled out, and been in way better shape than Melo was coming in, that Melo would have been a fucking MVP. Melo would have been because he was already an unbelievable scorer. But the fact that he came in bigger, he would have been able to give a little bit more effort on the defensive end of the ball. Now, obviously, Melo played in the era of LeBron, Kobe, so that was always going to be tough. And then he ended up playing in the Curry, LeBron era. And then the Curry, KD, LeBron. So, Melo never really had a chance at the end of the day, especially playing with that bozo George Karl, who was a terrible head coach. But, opinions, we all got them. But, yeah, so shout out to Dallas. Now, I don't think Dallas is going to come into Game 6 hitting the way they was hitting tonight. Or yesterday night. I do think they'll hit threes. I just think Golden State will be okay, we have to end this series tonight. Like, I think that's the type of game they're going to play. Like, Jordan Poole cannot come out and have these 2 games he done had in Boston. He can't come out and have those 2 games. He can't have those 2 games in Boston either when we get to Boston. But he cannot have these 2 games that he had in Dallas and Golden State. Just can't have it. And that just, to me, speak to his youth and inexperience still. That he can go out and have 2 bad games in Dallas. So you got to hope that he's ready to rebound when we get back to Golden State. I love that Curry been in attack mode the whole series. I have no complaints or no concerns with Steph. Like I said, I'm not gonna over exaggerate about that game 5 loss because I predicted we would lose. I mean, not the game 4 loss because I predicted we would. I'm talking about game 6s and shit. The game 4 loss because I predicted this would be a 5-game series. I do expect, like I said, Golden State to come out and do what they're supposed to do in this next game. And if they don't, well, I'm gonna have to listen to this bozo, this moron named Nick Wright. That's gonna be a reality. Now listen, bro. I said that I was gonna do the Now listen, bro. Hold up. Slow down. I'm gonna start the team, season predictions for the 2022-23 NFL football season. I'm gonna do that. I'm legitimately getting to that. I will say. It's a job, man. Boy, I can't wait to be doing this for a living, man. That's all I'm gonna say. Now, just to make sure I double back and to make sure, because I cannot remember if I predicted the next game for Boston. I'm pretty sure I did, though. I think Boston's going to win that game at home. I think both of these series, I think, are done after the next game. I think Golden State finishes the series off in Golden State, and I think Boston finishes the series off in Boston. I mean, at this point, Miami a team swinging at nothing, man. They exhausted. They got nothing left. They keep having these fucking quarters where they shooting less than like 15, 20% from the floor and shit, man. It's atrocious at this point, man. It's about time to bring in the defibrillator and shit, man. They needing some revival, bruh. It look like it's about over for them. It's looking like it's about to be what they be saying, 1, 2, 3 Cancun. It's looking like they've about to have to try to squeeze in a little vacation before the season start back up in 2-3 months. So that's what I got. I think both series end out after these next games. Game 5 for Golden State, and Golden State Dallas, and this would be game 6 for Boston. Damn, how is this game? Yeah, I'm tripping. Next game will be game 6 for them. So, with that, I appreciate you for joining me. I appreciate you for kicking it with me for a couple hours. For an hour or so. Tell somebody you fuck with them. Tell somebody you love them. Check up on people who are in your lives. You never know what somebody could be going through. You never know the mental things. Like, what the fuck could a child be going through to want to commit an atrocity like that? You don't know. And we can't do every single thing to prevent these type of things, but we can do something. And one thing that you can do that's within our power, aside from voting better and actually holding these motherfuckers to the fire, if you don't vote these motherfuckers in and we stop voting in these liars and shit like this, we could help take care of these things. And just checking up on motherfuckers. You see people posting ridiculous shit, bro. I understand. I'm a big believer in minding my own fucking business, but minding our own business is getting these kids killed, man. So if the motherfucking government not gonna protect us, then now it's time for us to start policing each other and shit at times. Alright? Because it ain't no reason in a motherfucking high school, middle school and shit should be posting guns all over their social medias and shit, or ever post one, especially assault rifles. But tell somebody you fuck with them. Tell somebody you love them. Have a dope day. If you are a praying individual, I understand the prayers will not bring back the individuals lost, but send prayers. Send Hail Marys out to those families, man, because they gonna need it, man. They gonna need it. I appreciate you for kicking it with me. Saint out.